Okay, movement check, audio check. Okay, it seems good, I think. Alright then. Hello everyone, this is Gundam Ace, aka John Hooper, and I'm here with my streaming of Secret Game Killer Queen. When we last left off, we had the branch between routes 3A and 3B. Well, at least it would be in the PC version, but in the console version it's not, so we're just going to go with what the route has right now, and then we'll go back and see 3B in the PC version after we're done with it. Long story short, Karin is now seems like she's behind Soichi Nagisa now, and they've agreed to give her their share of the prize money, but then they try to go upstairs, only find that it's blocked off. Tezuka's there, and he tried to pretend he was on their side by showing them Urushima's PDA and telling them that in order to go upstairs, someone needs to sacrifice a PDA as far as an extra game. So they decided to wait there for more participants potentially come along so they could fulfill Karin's release condition. But then Karin noticed there was some blood on Tezuka's pants, and from what Tezuka had said, it didn't seem like he'd been attacked by anyone, so the only conclusion they can make was that he was the attacker, and so they tricked him and left before he tried to kill them in their sleep. And they just got away from him. That's where he left off. Hold on 1 second, I'll be right back and then we'll begin. Okay, here we go now. Alright, before I go first, I want to check the, show the bets currently right now. Okay, now we'll begin the episode proper now. Soichi, do you think it was right for us to run away? Karin asked Soichi this Nagisa asked Soichi this as she ran as fast as she could. The group had walked quietly until they could get some distance away from Tezuka, but now they're running as fast as they could to get away as far from Tezuka as possible. If we're wrong, we'll just apologize to him later. But if it's exactly as we imagined, we would have been in big trouble if we'd stayed there. Yeah, good point. Nagisa didn't look all athletic to begin with, and her outfit looked hard to move in, so she was rather slow. Hold on a second. Alright, so yeah, I think it feels like they were missing some context in the Japanese, but I'm going to say it's probably referring to Karin here. It says, not as fast as Soichi, of course, but compared to, wait, hold on a second. Oh, never mind, I got it wrong. It's referring to Nagisa. Not as much as Soichi, though, but even compared to normal girls, she seemed rather slow. But what are we gonna do now? Karin was definitely filing right behind them. She was panting and struggling to catch her breath. It seemed this pace was pretty extreme for a middle school student like her. Well, about that. Soichi checked Karin's condition and slowed down. They'd gone quite a bit away from the stairwell hall. They'd also turned several corners, so they didn't think Tezuka would be catching up with them anytime soon. It seemed like they were far enough away to stop. I was thinking of looking for that place where Tezuka got that blood. Place of the blood? Karin had stopped, but she was still struggling to catch her breath. She put her hands on her knees and heaved over and over again. Yeah. What are we gonna do if he attacks someone? No. I mean, yeah, he probably attacked someone, right? Yeah. Someone must have bled enough to leave that blood on his pants, right? So I think we'll find blood around here. I see. If it goes well, we might be able to meet up with and talk to that injured person. If it goes well enough, maybe we'll get some hints. With wounds like that, they probably don't have to worry about getting attacked ourselves, too. Or maybe they're already... Soichi thought that, but he didn't voice his concerns. You're right. We can't apologize unless we clear that up, right? Yeah. I'll take a look around to see what kind of person they're like. But what are we gonna do, Soichi? You're saying we should search, but how are we gonna find them in a place this big? Karin looked with concern as she showed her PDA map to Soichi. But Soichi shook his head. No, it's fine. Think back, Karin. Remember, the blood on his pants still wasn't dry, right? Yeah, now you mention it, that's true. Which means they shouldn't be that... Which means they couldn't have been that far if they left that blood. Oh, I get it. If they'd been farther away, then the blood on the pants would have dried up before they met up with Tezuka. Oh, oops. Sorry, I missed this. A person's body heat dries up blood fast. But the blood was still wet on the pants. Which means that the blood shouldn't have been... blood must have gone in the pants in a place not too far from there. Judging from the place where we were, I'd say it's in about a 30-minute radius from around there. Soichi pointed at Karin's PDA. There's hallways and rooms we haven't checked in that radius. I'm sure we'll find them somewhere around there.
そうだね、探してみよう。そんなに多くもないし。
You're right, let's go look. There shouldn't be that many of them. Yeah. But what Soichi's group eventually found far exceed their imaginations. Holy shit. I can't... This is too... Soichi froze in place. He still couldn't believe what he was seeing. Karin screamed. There might have been enemies around nearby, but she couldn't hold her voice back. That's just how shocked she was. Nagisa ran over to Soichi. The woman who was usually off in her own little world, not even she could hide her surprise at this sight. Her normally cheery tone had a hint of was hastened with panic. For a corpse, this is just too... So you should be prepared for the possibility that they'd find the corpse. He thought he gained little resistance to seeing them after having witnessed Urashiyama's corpse. But what they found was nothing compared to that. A corpse. It was indeed a corpse, but it was just too it was just too gruesome. The three of them had found the place where the blood had gone in Tezuka's pants. They first noticed something was off when they'd caught the scent of something burnt in the hallway. They followed the stench to this room and then they found it. That body that defied all common sense. That's a girl, right? Karin's trembling voice echoed through the room. Probably. Soichi's voice also trembled as he answered. Normally you could tell someone's gender from a single look. But the body was so burned that it was nearly impossible to tell that. They had a tiny body and faint remains of a female school uniform. That was the only thing they had to tell what her gender was. Her skin had been charred black, and only a few strands of hair remained on her scalp. It was impossible to determine now whether she'd had long or short hair. Do you think she was stabbed there and walked all the way there? Knives are still a little distance away. Hey, hold on a second. Yep, no, okay, yep, it's all good. At her feet was a giant puddle of blood, which trailed off towards the burned body. But the pattern of the blood trail merged into the pattern of the floor went around the body. The heat from the flames had probably evaporated the blood right over there. The corpse's hand was stretched out in front of them as though it was seeking help. Their mouth was open wide. It wasn't difficult to imagine they'd been screaming at top their lungs in their final moments. So she was stabbed, was unable to run away, then collapsed here and was burned. And burned alive at that. Soichi felt intense nausea well in him when he imagined that situation. But when he saw Karin fall to her knees and put her hands over her mouth, Soichi desperately swallowed down his own nausea and ran over to her. Karin! Karin shed tears as she looked up at Soichi. Soichi embraced her. If he'd left her alone, she might have collapsed. I... Hold on a second. Okay, back. Continuing. Intense emotions raced through Karin as she struggled to speak anything of significance. Words of little meaning coming out. But Soichi stroked her back, and in time, she was able to somehow speak coherent sentences. I had no idea it was this horrible. Huh? That killing people was so... Then she started crying. Then she started weeping loudly. I'm sorry, Soichi. I had no idea. I had no idea it would be this horrible. I had no idea this was what it was like to kill another person. So I... Karin screamed. She was assaulted by intense regret. Someone had killed this person, leaving a body. It was a clear sign of what Karin herself had tried to do earlier. Realizing that she tried to create several things just like this, Karin learned of her own foolishness and cruelty. Instead of humor or irony, felt like her eyes had been opened. Saying it was embarrassment of her past self didn't even begin to cover it. It was deep, intense regret. Just then, Karin threw up everything in her stomach right then and there. Karin! Even though she'd thrown up everything she could, Karin's body heaved as her body trembled as she tried to throw up over and over again. Karin, it's alright now. I don't want to watch any longer. Soichi helped lift Karin up and left the room. Rushed out of the room. If I leave Karin next to someone like this any longer, she'll break. Then Soichi brought Karin somewhere where the burnt stench of the body could no longer be smelled.
Soichi. Soichi.
Karin continued crying all the way. But the person she tried to kill just a day earlier simply held her tight in his arms. It's about a dozen or so minutes later that Karin calmed down. No, it wasn't just Karin that calmed down. It had taken Soichi and Nagisa that long as well in order to calm them to regain their composure. Karin, here's some water. Thank you. Karin took the water bottle that Nagisa offered her, but she didn't try bringing it to her mouth. But she only drank a little, sorry. You should drink more, Karin. I feel like if I drink too much, I'm gonna throw it up, so I'll do it later. I see. Once you feel like you can do it, then drink, okay? Yeah. Karin nodded at Nagisa, then looked up at Soichi and spoke. I'm sorry, Soichi. It's alright, Karin. Soichi reached out for Karin's head and lightly ruffled her hair. But Karin shook her head. I was such an idiot. In reality, I didn't know a thing what it meant to kill someone, for someone to die. People die all the time in movies and TV shows, so I guess my senses just must have gone numb to it. Large tears streamed out of her eyes and fell. So I thought it'd be easy to do that sort of thing. That sort of thing. Karin's whole body began trembling. Soichi gently embraced her, wanting to stop the trembling. It's alright, Karin. You didn't do it in the end. You realized you couldn't, and so you stopped yourself, right?
私きっと殺してた。
But Soichi, if it had been anyone other than you, I would have killed them for sure.
誰かをこの手でさっきの人みたいにさっきの人みたいに
I would have killed someone with with my very hands, just like that last person. Karen's sobs grew louder again. So Soichi embraced her with all his might. Get a hold of yourself, Karen. You haven't done anything.
でも私自分が怖い。
But I'm scared of myself.
どうしてあんなことをやろうだなんて思ったんだろう。どうしてあんな残酷なことを。
Why did I ever think I could try to do something like that? Why did I ever think I could do something so cruel? It's alright, Karen. You forgive yourself. Hold on a sec. The heart is weakened when you do one bad thing after another. You can't do something like that again. Even though she hadn't actually killed anyone, to Karen, that corpse represented her sin. And the sense of justice she'd been born with criticized her thoroughly.
本当に
Really? Yeah, I guarantee it. And besides, even if you do anything that even if you still think you're gonna go crazy again, try to do something crazy again, I'll be there to stop you.
総一
I stopped you before. I'm sure I'll be able to do it again. Karen looked up. Tears kept pouring out of her eyes. Soichi wiped them away with his fingertip. So it's all right. Don't worry.
じゃあ総一ずっと一緒にいてくれる？
Then, will you always stay with me, Soichi? I said it from the start, didn't I? Soichi, gave the nervous Karen a flick on the cheek. I said I'd bring you back to your sister. Yeah. Karen brought her hand up to her cheek and finally managed to give a little smile even though she was still crying. Soichi was relieved when he saw that from the bottom of his heart. Or perhaps even worried that Karen's heart would have been crushed if she kept this up. I may not look it, but I'm a man of his word.
ちょっと頼りない気もするけどね。
Though you don't seem all that reliable. Hey, that was uncalled for. Soichi flicked Karen's forehead again. Karen then showed a little smile. Yeah. Are you okay, Karen?
何度もごめんね、ソイチ。
Yeah. I'm sorry again, Soichi. Karen gave a big nod and wiped away her tears. Don't worry about it, Karen. You're still a child. And besides, we're friends, right?
友達。
Friends. Karen seemed taken aback by that word for a moment.
友達。
That's right, we're friends. But she soon smiled again and nodded heavily. Seriously, thank goodness. Soichi been worried about how that turned out for a while. But once he saw Karen smile, he knew everything would be okay. But anyway, Karen, now you've cheered up. I'm gonna stop clinging to me and let me put you down. You're actually quite heavy, you know that?
あーごめん。あ、でも重いとか言うな。友達相手でもそれはデリカシーがなさすぎ。総一ってモテないでしょ。
Oh, I'm sorry. But don't call me heavy. Is that the kind of thing you say to a friend? Do you have no tact at all? You're not popular at all, are you? My bad, my bad. Soichi loosened his grip, and Karen leaped down on the floor.
でも今日は許す。友達になった記念に。
But I'll forgive you for today, as commemoration of our new friendship. She spun her body around, turned back to Soichi, and held out her right hand to him. Soichi then held out his own left hand in response. Yeah, thanks, Karen.
こちらこそありがとうね、ソイチ。
I should be thanking you myself, Soichi. And the two of them shook hands.
まさかこんなことが。
No way. This can't be real. Nagisa couldn't believe what was happening right in front of her. She believed that Soichi and Karen would travel down the same path she and Manami had. Much like many other players had in past games, and the many... Sorry, hold on a second. Much like many other players in many past games, no one was able to trust strangers all the way to the end. And in turn by enemies that appeared halfway through in extra games. Thanks to those, their trust fell apart, and they pointed weapons at each other. But the two in front of her were different. Now, one of them had once pointed weapons at the other. The two of them were now acting like a pair of siblings that had been together for ages. And what surprised Nagisa was the most was that she herself was beginning to trust the two of them. Why am I? She didn't understand how she felt. She was starting to believe that Soichi and Karen wouldn't betray her. Even though she was firmly convinced that trust was an illusion. But we were friends, so why couldn't I... There was also another part of her that couldn't easily accept that. Because the fact that she was trusting Soichi and Karen would mean admitting that everything she's done to this point would mean admitting everything she's done to this point is wrong, admitting to her own weakness. I'm not wrong. I shouldn't have been. Isn't that right, Monami? Anyone's capable of betrayal. I know it. Nagisa tried to convince herself. As she did, Monami's last moments flashed through her brain. There were 2 gunshots. They echoed loudly through the room Nagisa and Monami were in. Nagisa and Monami had pointed their guns at each other and fired at the same time. But only Monami fell. She slowly fell to the ground with a surprised look on her face. Monami, who'd never fired a gun before, missed Nagisa, while Nagisa, who had experienced firing guns several times up to this point, didn't miss her target. When Nagisa ran up to her, Monami was bleeding out of from her left side. The stains spread more and more. Monami, you're alive? Well, even so, Monami was still alive. Though her face warped with agony from time to time, she faced Nagisa. I knew it. Because she had a hole in her lung, it was difficult for Monami to talk. Wait right there, Monami. I'll treat you right away. So you really did shoot in the end, Nagisa? Right as Monami spoke those cursed words, she coughed a lump of blood out from her mouth that flowed into her airways. You traitor. I always thought we were friends, but in the end, you shot me for the money. No, that's not what I was trying to do, Monami. Everything was going from bad to worse. Coincidences, misunderstandings, delusions, and trying to protect oneself. All those things piled up into one another until it ended with both of them pointing guns at each other.
滑稽だわ。私はずっとこんなお金のために人を殺すやつを友達だなんて。
This is hilarious. I can't believe I was friends with someone who would kill people for money all this time.
違うのよ、マナミ。マナミ。
No, you've got it all wrong, Monami. Monami! But Monami could no longer hear Nagisa's voice. The intense bleeding left both her eyes and ears barely functional. That was why all Monami did was spit out one curse at... Sorry, that's why all Monami did was spit out one curse at another to the image of Nagisa in her head.
違うのよ。
You've got it all wrong!
お金だけ抱いて一人ぼっちで生きるがいいわ。渚。
Go take the money, live off all by yourself. Nagisa.
この
You
人殺しめ。
damn murderer. Those were Monami Aso's final words.
私は間違ってなんかいない。そうよ。誰だって裏切るわ。
I'm not wrong. That's right. Anyone's capable of betrayal. Nagisa sobbed in a stifled voice, so Soichin Karnwin knows her.
裏切らない人なんていないのよ。私はマナミをこの手で殺したんだから。
There's no one who can go without betraying, because I killed Monami with my own hands. One tear after another kept pouring out. Her legs were shaking. It took Nagisa all she had just to stand where she was.
私は
She didn't know if it was good or bad luck that Soichin Karin didn't notice her like that. And in the end, was it good or bad luck for anyone?
私は間違ってなんかいない。
I'm not wrong. Only the heavens knew the answer to that. Okay, first of all... first of all, because we have a second confirmed body, which as the bet system shows was, Sakumi, in case you didn't figure it out yet. That means it's the end of stream betting, but the usual, stream bettors are not here at this stream, so I allow them the chance of the next, archive to come back to this point and, make a bet, so... Hold on a second, I'm actually gonna make a... Go back to when they first found Sakumi's body and make another save there, just so that I have a place to go back to when the time comes. Okay, let's make an extra save here. We'll go back to it when normal batteries come on. And we'll just load to where we were just now. Okay, there we go. The PDA alarm rang. When it did, the three who were eating stopped. The first floor has become a forbidden area. The PDA announced that the first floor was now off limits. It rang once before 3 hours ago. But since they'd all gone to the second floor together as part of the first extra game, no one's collar went off this time. Since everyone had gone up to the since everyone got up to the second floor, no one's collar was activated. This announcement was this alarm was just a formality. It was currently 1 p.m. According to the PDA, it had been 27 hours since the game begun. From now on, one floor after another would become forbidden after several hours. Soichi, it'd be best for us to go up, don't you think? Yeah. Thanks to the second extra game, Soichi's group was stuck on the second floor. If things kept going like this, they wouldn't be able to get up until 9 p.m. Smith said that the second floor would become forbidden at 10 p.m. So only left them an hour. If they ran into any sort of problem on the way, then they'd leave this something they wouldn't be able to take back. Let's just hurry up and finish eating this, and then go find some. Let's go look for others. Soichi pointed to the plate he was holding. But Soichi wasn't eating all that fast, despite his words. Yeah. Much like him, Karen still had over half her food left. Nagisa was in a similar state. It's also the matter of Tezuka to worry about. There's a lot we need to hurry in regards to. Just then, at that moment, Soichi flashed back to the body they found a little while earlier, and he felt worse. That must have been the reason why he wasn't eating all that much. Why they weren't eating all that much. They all remembered that moment at random, with the least bit of incitement this whole time. There was the corpse of the girl that they'd found. From the information that had been added to their PDAs, it seemed that much like Urashiyama, her collar had also been activated, and thus she died as a direct result of a penalty. Alright, 1 second. Alright, flamethrower. Sprays a combustible liquid and sets it on fire. One of the devices used to and eliminate rule breakers and those who have failed to remove their collars. Hold on a second. Alright, the liquid's combustion temperature is low, so you won't die easily. So you won't die instantly. Once you're set on fire, it's extremely difficult to put it out. Maybe you can survive if you try hard enough? The girl had been stabbed with a knife, had her collar activated afterwards, then burned while she was alive by that device. And she wasn't instantly burned to death by a high temperature fire such as napalm. But by a low temperature flame that would burn someone for a long period of time so they could feel themselves burning. The pain from being stabbed with a knife. The agony of being burned all over. Amidst that and the surprise and intense despair, that girl had died. When you imagine that, Soichi felt himself blinded with rage, as well as assaulted with deep fear. That was why they'd gotten away from there so quickly. There weren't any other places with blood around, so it was very easy to imagine that Tezuka had done the deed. And even if he wasn't, the fact still remained that someone who did that sort of thing to her was out there. It was too dangerous to stay there. Along the way, they coincidentally bumped into a non-combat area, and so the group was finally allowed to take a breather. It had been several hours since they'd fled from Tezuka. They were both physically and mentally exhausted. There was better food than in the non-combat area than the preserved foods they'd found earlier. Nisa had whipped it up quickly, but none of them felt too inclined to eat. The shock of what happened just before was too great. This is really bad. When Soichi saw Karin and Nagisa's faces, he felt he couldn't keep leaving them alone much longer. On the surface, they recovered to a certain degree from the shock, but it seemed like that scene was still burned deeply in their minds. Come to think of it, my childhood friend was also a great cook, you know? Soichi spoke up in a cheerful voice, but the two of them kept looking down. She'd make and feed me all sorts of things when she had time. When I had time. Probably not listening. The two of them still kept their faces down, but Soichi kept talking. She was a real mischievous one. Karin looked at Soichi when he said that. She'd always mix stuff I didn't like with the food. And in ways that I would be able to tell right away. Karin laughed a little. Drawn in by her laugh, Nagisa also looked up.
きっと宗一君のこと心配してたんじゃないかな。
Sure she wasn't just worried about you? Nah, that was definitely her idea of bullying, no doubt about it. Stuff that I'd be able to eat and live, even if I hated, like okra.
オクラだったんだ。
Oh, so it was okra. Karin and Nagisa both smiled. Soichi felt a bit relieved when he saw that. Yeah, she also do stuff like mixing these weird herbs too. I'm Japanese, so I don't need those kind of things.
なんだ、単に宗一が好き嫌い多いだけじゃん。苦労してんだ、その幼馴染の人。
What the heck? Just sounds like me, like you're really picky either. I bet you gave that childhood friend of yours hell. Ah, shut up. If you have time to talk, then quit poking fun at me and eat. Or I'm gonna take it all for. I'm gonna make you eat it all.
はいはい。
Yeah, yeah. Karin smiled and lifted her spoon. She started eating faster than she had before.
宗一君が頑張るのはその人のため。
Is the reason you're trying so hard for that person? But though Nagisa's face had started to brighten up, she suddenly grew stiff again. Nagisa? Soichi didn't understand why. But he answered honestly. That's right, because we made a promise.
とっても大事な人なんだ。
They're very important to you, aren't they? That question was one that Soichi couldn't deflect. That was how desperate she sounded. Yes, we grew up together, so she's the most important person to me.
そうなのね。やっぱり。
That's right, isn't it? I knew it. Nagisa then started crying. Nagisa, what's wrong?
ごめん、宗一君。ちょっと。私の幼馴染のことを思い出したら。なんだか涙が。
I'm sorry, Soichi. When I remember my own childhood friend, I just can't stop cry. Monami, Nagisa looked at Soichi, not even trying to wipe away her tears. Isn't that right, Soichi? That's why you're so... With this, Nagisa finally understood why Soichi accepted Karin, why he wasn't afraid of death, and why he wouldn't betray either of them. It's because of his promise with that person, right? That promise with his dead childhood friend. Soichi had once said it. That he'd failed to protect someone important to him. That's why he wanted to get Karin home to her sister, the only person who meant the most to her. Soichi had also said this about his childhood friend. That's right. We grew up together. She was the most important person to me. With that, Nice understood it. That's why he wasn't scared of being killed by Karin. Because, Soichi's most important person was no longer in this world. He had no reason to stay in this world other than his promise to her. I'm sorry, Soichi. What are you apologizing for? I'm not mad at you for crying or anything. That's why you won't betray. That's why you trust. Because you have no one to protect or nowhere to go home to. Because you have nothing left other than your promise to that person. Tell me, Soichi. What? Did you love that childhood friend of yours? Hold on a second. Nagisa finally realized her own misunderstanding. Soichi didn't trust others because of someone else, or because he was strong. It was because Soichi Mitsurugi was weaker than anyone else. Soichi's the same as me, huh? Because of her own weakness, Nagisa was also haunted by the phantom of Manami Asao. Yes, I loved her. More than anyone in the world? For a moment, Soichi was bewildered and paused to answer. Yeah. But he quickly forced a smile and nodded. I see. Me too. I love my own childhood friend more than anyone in the world. I'm sorry, Soichi. I was an idiot. You don't need to betray anyone anymore, do you? When Nagisa realized that, she couldn't stop herself from crying. Unconsciously, she was sad at having continued to doubt a boy of the same kind of, who had the same kind of burden as her. You're just stubbornly keeping your promise. The promise you made with your dead childhood friend. But you know, Soichi. That was why Nagisa finally admitted it. I love you and Karin too. that she would never betray the two in front of her. Wait, hold on a second. Sorry, that the two in front of her would never betray each other. Okay, save. And check the bet system. Okay, the bet has been checked. Now let's continue. Once they finished their break and eating, the three of them began to act again at about 3 p.m. The three looked at each other and discussed their future plans.
今は午後3時。いるフロアは2階。7時間後に侵入禁止になるので、それまでに3階に上がりたい。
It's currently 3 p.m. We're on the second floor. This place will become a forbidden area in 7 hours. So we want to get to the third floor before that.
でも今は階段にシャッターが降りていて、6時間後までは開かない。その前に開けるには PDA を一つ壊さなきゃいけない。
But right now there's a shutter in front of the stairwell. And it won't open for another 6 hours. We need to destroy a PDA before that in order to open it.
Soichi, これで合ってる?
Do I have it all right, Soichi? Karen counted off her fingers as she confirmed the situation. Soichi nodded and picked up where she left off. Yes, that's right, Karen. But we don't want to wait until the last minute. So we want to open the shutter.
でも、宗一くん、PDA には余裕がないよ。ジョーカーだってまだ壊すだけにはいかないでしょ。
But Soichi, we don't have any spare PDAs, right? We can't afford to destroy the Joker yet, right? Yeah. Once the Joker's camouflage function was used, it couldn't be used again for another hour. Due to the incident with Tezuka and the corpse of the girl, it still only used it 3 times. If they destroyed the Joker in order to open the shutter as it was now, then that would mean killing the owner of the 6th PDA.
それに仮にジョーカーを5回使ってから壊しましたって言われても、なかなか信じられないかもしれないね。
And even if we use the Joker 5 times and tell him that even if we use the Joker 5 times, destroy and then tell him that, they might not believe us, right?
私みたいに疑り深いのもいるからさ。
Cause they might be doubtful like me. Karen stumbled over her last words. Seems she was still bothered by how she tried to attack Soichi and Nagisa. Soichi stroked Karen's head. Karen then gave a relieved smile. Once he saw that, Soichi continued talking. Right. Which is why I think we need to get more, which is why I think our only choice to get more allies, Nagisa. If we get more allies and clear the conditions, then we can use a PDA to open the shutter. I think it'd be good for us to give the Joker to the owner of the 6th PDA.
そうだね。すぐ信じてもらうのって難し
You're right. It might be difficult to earn their trust right away. Nagisa also
で
smiled.
もさ宗一君
But you know, Soichi. But Nagisa's smile soon faded and she beckoned to Soichi. What is it?
PDA 余裕があるかもしれないよ
You might have spare PDAs, you know? Spares?
だってほらその死んじゃった二人のやつ
You know, the ones from the two who died. It seemed Nagisa was having a lot of trouble saying it. She trailed off at the end of her words. She frowned with an apologetic look on her face. I see. So she didn't realize it when she heard what was up when he heard. But after thinking for a little bit, he shook his head with disappointment. I'm sorry, Nagisa, but I don't think that's going to be possible.
どうして
Why not? I think Tezuka has both of them.
手塚君が
He does? Yeah. Soichi began to explain. The girl they found didn't have a PDA. To be more exact, it hadn't been lying around the area that Soichi's group had searched. After they'd calmed down, they returned to the room one more time. But due to the horrible state of the body, they were reluctant to touch her body. And so they, merely checked a bag lying around that appeared to have been the girl's school bag. There was no PDA in there. Either had been already been taken away, or had been with the body. But if it had been with the body, then it probably would have burned up with her body. And then probably would have been burned up with her. They didn't think, even if it did survive, they didn't think the PDA would be working. And so the group had left without checking the girl any further. And it was almost certain that Tezuka had been the one to kill her. The location filled the criteria of what they'd seen from Tezuka at the hall. They all pointed to Tezuka being the culprit. If Tezuka was the culprit, then that left them with a bizarre question. It was that the PDA he'd shown the group had been the 7. The 7 PDA required meeting all the other participants. That it didn't call for them to kill anyone. Even if the prize money were a motive, there would be no reason to risk activating. Wait, hold on a second. There would be no need to risk that before taking off the collar. And what's more, there are also signs that her collar had been forcibly activated. There's also the possibility that the girl had been the one to attack Tezuka. But if he'd fought back in retaliation, there would have been no need for him to activate her collar. And there was also the strange fact they'd hidden it from Soichi, from the group. He should have brought it up when Soichi mentioned that they'd been attacked by Nagasawa.
じゃあ私たちに見せてくれた手塚君の PDA が嘘だったってこと？
And that means that that the PDA Tezuka showed us wasn't his real one? Yeah, I think that's how it went down.
じゃあ宗一、あの7はどこから来たの？
Then where do you think he got it? The 7. I think he got it from one of the two who died. If he'd killed that girl, that meant that his PDA wasn't the 7 but something else. Which meant that the PDA he'd shown the group had been either the girls or Urashiyama's.
そっか。でも他に血の跡がある場所もなかったし、手塚さんがあの子を刺したのは間違いなさそうだよね。
I see. But there are no other bloodstains anywhere, so it seems like there's nowhere. And it seems like most likely that Tezuka stabbed that girl. Yeah. There's also the possibility that someone else is behind this altogether. Believing so, that would still mean that there still means that there's a possibility that no, sorry. The only exception would be if that the stabber and the one who activated the collar were different people altogether. That would still make Tezuka the stabber. If the girl had only been burned, then there wouldn't have been all that blood there. Either way, there was almost no doubting that Tezuka had stabbed the girl. If he just needed to kill her or wanted her PDA, he shouldn't have needed to activate her collar. But whatever the reason, I'm pretty sure it's all but certain that Tezuka was the one who stabbed her. The rest depend on Tezuka's PDA. It all changed depending on the condition he'd been given.
ってことは、あの子はその燃やしたもう一人がいるかもしれないってことだよね。
Which means that there might be someone else who burned that girl? Yeah. Soichi nodded to Nagisa with a stern face. If Tezuka's condition involved activating collars, then he was the one who activated the collar and caused her to burn. He must have stabbed her to keep her from resisting. But if that wasn't the case, then all he did was stab her, kill her, then he would have just stabbed her, kill her, and took in her PDA. Wait, this is Tezuka we're talking about here. He's smart. He wouldn't need to activate a collar just to have a fake PDA to pass around. If he was the killer, no, he was the culprit, then he wouldn't have gone so far upon that performance for us to gain our trust. If the culprit was Tezuka, that meant he would have had something sinister planned for Soichi's group afterwards. What's more, he completely earned their trust without being the slightest bit phased that he killed someone. If Karin hadn't spotted the blood stain on his pants, then They might still be with him or even dead right now. But in hindsight... Hold on a second.